Hey everyone. I gotta do can y'all hear me out there?
We can hear you.
I could probably do this D Tomoson could do this without a microphone. If maybe not him. He wasn't much of a screamer. Mike wasn't, but I took care of that for him. I don't know. You guys, everybody get to see the pictures going through here. I don't know let's see, big racing fan. You guys know all of that. Hopefully, there's Trevor eating. Trevor's his nephew, but all the sadness. You're seeing it. We talked with each other. It ain't gonna be that. So what I got is funny stories that were sent to me from friends and all kinds of people. So I was really surprised because I thought I'd get a few stories to tell the people about them and Mike, and I got 4 pages. So bear with me here, okay? But they're pretty good. We're running a camera right here that's got us feeding to our relatives and stuff down in Texas. So this first one, now there's no particular order. This afternoon I was throwing stuff on here just to get this done. So if your stories last, I didn't mean that it sucked or anything. So Tim Lent, I know he's watching. He said, not sure what year it was, but Mike came down for a visit. We took him to the Guadalupe River for a float trip. He was a pretty big dude at the time, and I wondered if he'd even fit in the tube. He goes, well, just barely, but he got in. He was pretty top heavy, though. But every time we went near the 4-foot falls or through the rapids, he'd lose it and just come up choking and laughing at the same time. He said he looked like a giant cork bouncing out on the rapids there. He's like, we laughed the whole time. He got so sunburned that he took his wife beater off, and it didn't look like he took it off. To cool off that night, we went to the giant fishbowl to get margaritas. The look on his face when they brought those 32-ounce margaritas out was priceless. He complained the whole time that his brain was freezing, trying to get that thing down, but he finally just decided to let it melt so he could drink it. It reminded me of Josh's story, no ice in his Coke. Josh, I don't get that. You'll have to fill me in on that one. We were getting ready to leave, and he still had about a half left now. He slammed it and said, okay, I'm ready to go. And we just cracked up. He said, I laugh about that every once in a while. Mike Blessing. You know Mike Blessing? He went to high school with Mike, played football, all of that. He's like, Mike saved my life at Crystal Cove in junior high. He goes, we floated out on a log to the middle and decided we should go back to shore. Was any of you guys there? Brent Porter was there. I remember this story. He says, I could swim very well, but I just ran out of gas. I missed a part here. They jumped in, they got out in the middle, and they decided to swim back to shore. Like I said, I could swim very well, but I just ran out of gas. All I knew how to do was dog paddle. And he was swimming beside me, coaching me along, saying, kick your feet, use your arms. Well, as you all know, Dad used to take us to the river. And, you got thrown in that river. You're going to learn how to swim. I don't even remember I didn't take swim lessons. I don't know how I learned to swim. But I know I got in sinkholes a few times. and I was going down, and Mike pulled me out. So he was a pretty strong swimmer. And so anyways, I kicked your feet. He goes, I thought I was going to die. He goes, 15 yards from shore, I looked up. I didn't have nothing left. And down I went. Mike swam out, and I jumped on his back. And he took me in. He goes, man, he was pissed. He goes, I thought you said you could swim, you dumbass. He goes, there was a time we were working for the city of South Sioux. We were cleaning toilets at the park and passed Charlie trying to unplug a street drain. I don't know if I know Charlie or not, but he goes, so Mike drove through the flooded street and splashed Charlie at about 40 miles per hour. And he goes, so when we got back to the shop, he blamed it on me. That's Mike. Totally see him doing that. And when he got older, he wouldn't do it, but he'd certainly laugh at it if you did it to them. Terry Lint. Terry says, I want to share a story about a time Mike came to Houston to visit us in the summer of 1990. He had to sleep on our daughter's twin bed with Sesame Street comforter. He joked that he lost a lot of masculinity that night. When he woke up and Bert and Ernie were there. Then he rode back home to South Sioux with me and our 3 daughters, almost running out of gas in the middle of the night in some little podunk town. And he had to go banging on doors to find someone waking up to give us gas. Harry, way to go. I know he must have been panicking, but he never let it show. He was our hero that night. Mark Combs. Mark Combs is in the house. Mike was the first person to ever take me golfing. It was him and I and 2 other people. I can't remember. So the first hit off the tee box was pretty good. Everybody was happy. We walked down there. Little did I know, Mike stepped on my golf ball and buried it in the mud. He told me that in golf you have to play it where it lies. So I whacked the shit out of that thing. They were all laughing at me, and they just kept laughing at me. And he goes, then Mike told me, no, he goes, that he stepped on my ball and pushed it in there that, you could set it off the side. You don't have to whack it out of the mud. I didn't know that one. Debbie Luff, oh man, she had a lot. I had to condense hers down, so she had all kinds of them. And so I picked some good ones here. I remember when me and Mike went to Franny's to play board games. It was time for Mike to go home, and Franny had a stick shift. Mike drove it to his house and let me try to drive it home. I've never driven a stick shift before. He goes, go ahead, you can drive it to Clacy, your house near Clacy Park. And it took me almost an hour to get from your mom's to Franny's house. I was grinding gears the whole time, and Mike just watched me and laughed. Another time we were driving on a dirt road, letting him drive. I was letting him drive. Oh, I remember doing all of that. I never did it, but you guys would go out and you'd let him drive when he was way too young. And we were almost to the house. We ran out of gas. You guys, when are you taking this kid out? Running out of gas. So we went to my house and had to siphon from Mom's car so we could keep driving around. And Mike said he knew how to siphon, so he started sucking on the gas tube and up through his mouth and it came out of his mouth and his nose. And the dad came out. He's like, "Who's there?" And he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And he goes, "We just took off running." I'm like, "Dad, why would you take off running?" Or your dad. And I will never forget. Now I remember this one. I never forget. I laughed so hard when me and your mom and grandma took you boys to Okoboji camping, and we went to that amusement park there. I talked Mike into going into this big barrel. I don't know if you guys remember that barrel that rotated up there. And Mike and I we had our T-shirts, or what were those? They're not wife beaters. Tank tops. And shorts, those cut-off shorts. I remember this. And Debbie was there, and she was like, go, go, go. And Mike got in there, and he fell. And he just sort of, boom, boom, boom. And he couldn't get up. And you hear his skin ripping and burning, and you're like, oh, man. And he started going, Mom, Mom. And Debbie wouldn't quit laughing. She just couldn't keep it together. She just laughed and laughed. And Grandma was like, somebody get his ass out of there. Debbie broke through there and grabbed him, pulled him out the other end, and just kept laughing. He was mad about that. Karen Bateman, I don't know if Karen's here. She's probably online there. She said, do you remember when Mike bought Dan's huge black car, that old Impala? What year was it? Remember that? You just told me the story. You're driving around with him in it. Or no, Ryan. 66? I think it was a 66. Anyways, we took it to the bars, and Mike insisted on driving us in the Impala, so we left that night. As soon as we left that night, he tagged the corner of a parked car next to us. He said, son of a bitch, they shouldn't have parked so close to me. And he took off driving. I got plenty of those. Taco John's parking lot backs up. Pow! He looked over at me. Don't tell Dad! All right. And I didn't, because you know what he would do? Brian? He'd beat you up. Oh, man. Let's see here. Lisa Beaver. She says, sorry for your loss. Mike was my on and off again in high school. We went to the West Side Twerp, and I went to the South Sioux Homecoming and prom with him. We went to Lucky Lady together. He'd get mad at me for something dumb and leave me there for Mike Blessing or someone to take home. What the hell, Lisa? And let's see, I lost my place there. That threw me off here. And then he would call me a couple days later. LOL. I'll never forget going to your parents' house for the first time. And there's a little curly-haired dude there named Brian. And he blurted out, did you know Mike poses in front of the mirror in his underwear and flexes his muscles? It's all right. We all did that. Mike was so mad, he grabbed him by his hair, but he couldn't make it. He took off running. I can see that too. He goes, I laughed so hard, I didn't think I was going to make it the rest of the night. So, and then Brian would get on the phone. She's not done here, Brian. Brian would get on the phone and make kissy noises and comment when we would talk. I don't remember that. Well, she definitely remembers it because she wrote it down for his get-together here. So he would say Mike wanted to kiss me and that you were chicken. And so I was, he goes, I was dancing with the Lucky Ladies, and he put my hand on my face and I planted one right on him and told me that Brian told me that you wanted to do that. The look on his face was priceless. I think I scared him. Ha ha. Take care. Aunt Sherry, she's like, he was really close to Kathy most of his life as a baby. I think it was more Debbie when he got older, right? But I didn't know this. He couldn't say her name Kathy, so he called her Lulu for a lot of years. Man, I missed that one on the quiz. Oh yeah, I remember one more thing, how he used to stick pretty close to his mom for years. Whenever us girls would get together, all the kids went outside to play, but Mike wouldn't go. He wanted to listen to the that's, remember the ear thing? His ears were that big. I was like, even when we were 10. And I was just calling big ears, he'd call me Bucky Beaver, and, we'd get in fights, but yeah, he always did. I remember this. He'd want to listen in on the gossip and the things that were going on with the family. Rusty Mitchell. Russ is, he's our cousin. He's down in Texas. He's probably online. I know what he's going to say because I was there. My best memories were when we were kids, especially when we went fishing out to Rich Steffen's pond. We would fish, cook, and swim. And remember those big-ass turtles? I also remember playing poker with him at your Grandma May's basement. That's not true. It was in our basement. Bob and I used to play there with Clint and Debbie. Mike, your grandma, and a few others that I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, no, that was at Grandma's. It was like 8 or 9 people, and we were all playing cards. It was great. I didn't hang out with him as much as you because we played guitar all the time. But I do remember Rich's Lake. Let's see here. He said, so there's a lot of different memories. The one that comes to mind right now is when me, you, Bob, and Mike were playing drinking games in the basement. And the 3 of us arranged to team up on Mike and make him do all the drinking. He goes, I believe you won a round and you got to choose who drank. So we had made it ahead of time that we'd say Mike did it. So Mike was literally shooting beers. After like about 6 beers in a row, Mike looked at all of us wide-eyed and then just projectile vomited all. I remember us, we all just scattered just everywhere. And he's like, you fuckers did it. You fuckers did it. Definitely remember that. Derek Morris. I remember Mike had a song he used to sing to us. I can't do this one.
Go ahead.
Rick Moline. We'll move on, you fucker. Rick Moline. I do remember his tough. Oh yeah, I remember his toughness as a football player. Come read this. Read it from Derek.
Okay. So Derek Moore said, I remember Mike had a song he used to sing to us when we were when we were little ones. Quote, we rub noses. We rub noses like the Eskimos do. It's crazy to think of all the things to remember. Mike left that imprint in our minds. He always offered to take us boys racing, which Josh went with him a lot, which grew Josh's love for NASCAR. When we would stop over to Mom's house for a Husker game or grill outs, he would always bring up Curtis's ribs and how that was the best ever. I will always remember the poker games and the unlimited amount of jokes and stories he would tell around the poker table. He would always make us laugh. Derek Morris.
Josh would, no, I got it. You couldn't pronounce half the, no, I'm just So Josh, I know, if you're going to read Josh's stuff, you got to go to his webpage. Or no, his Facebook page, because it's all over there. And I specifically sent those boys a message saying, hey, give me a story. Because I knew they would. Derek did. He laid it out there. Josh he always sent me stuff, though. And then, let's see. Where's he at? Where's Curtis? You got any stories, brother? He goes, nah, I ain't got nothing right now. He talked about you all the time, buddy. I know you got stories. We'll just have to say them sometime. Paul Hendrickson. So, Paul was a bass player in my band, The Rage. He's even here. I don't know if he's here. Paul's back there. He says, there's 2 things that stick out. One was the time that he gave me a ride to see you guys play for the first time. That's when I was going to take over as the bass player for the band. But, I was going to replace him, and I rode with Mike for that. I remember him being the one that brought Mike Johnston back into the plaza the night that Mike was getting his ass kicked. I don't remember that. And he said, weird random thought here, but this is what I remember most. Mike was the calm, rational, clear-headed Tomoson. The voice of reason. You and Brian were always ready to kick somebody's ass if they so much as looked at you wrong. That was not true. That was him. That was him. I just backed him up. And that wasn't very much because it didn't last very long. Not true, Paul. He's like, but Mike wasn't like that. He never got worked up, always laid back, don't sweat it type of vibe. But I also knew that he was the one that I would least want to piss off, LOL. He was just a good, genuine, nice person. Brett Powell, we went to Boone. What's in Boone?
Racist.
There's a lot of Boone references here in a lot of these stories. But we went to Boone and we went to Denny's. And Mike was very specific about his food. And he wanted his hash browns cooked. And when they brought him out, it wasn't cooked at all. They were actually raw. And he wanted them crispy, but not burnt. So he sent it back, and they brought it back again, and it was still the same thing, just warmer. Let's see. So when they brought them back, it was cold this time, and still wasn't done. So your brother, he called the guy over, and he goes, "Hey, hats off to the photographer that took the pictures on this menu." I didn't get that. Why y'all laughing?
It never looks like what it did on the menu.
Oh, now I get it. It's COVID something. Ellen Johnson. Ellen's in the house. She says, I have a sweet Mike story. The Rays was playing at In Cahoots one night, and I was there and extremely pregnant. I found out it was with Alec. I was sitting at the table with my big old belly under the table when a guy came up and asked me to dance. And I said, sure. And as soon as I shimmied out from behind that chair under that table, his eyes got huge and his mouth dropped open and he turned around and left. Mike saw what happened. He came over and said, Ellen, I'll dance with you. And he stuck out his belly and said, I'm not afraid. So unless you go into labor, he's not afraid unless you go into labor. Missed that. He had such a big heart that didn't want me to feel bad. So not many guys would do that. Two more guys. Mike Black, freshman year, track meet. And I do have a bunch of them talking about his football and all that, because he was excelled at that. He actually went on to, he got a scholarship to Yankton College in 1980. It would have been 85, 86. I don't know if he had some intuition or what, but they closed it up. He ended up going to Wayne State. A lot of his friends went there, and he would come home and his face mask would be just bent. He remember Mom the black and blue all the time. He'd come out, he's like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't go out for that, because I got plenty of stories, and we'll talk about them sometime, about having to fill the hole. When we're on defense, when I was a junior, he was a senior, and they had an offense that would kill you if you were a linebacker, and it's exactly what it did. You'd have to fill the hole, and the first one coming through at 100 mile an hour was 195-pound Mike Thompson, and he didn't care if he was your brother. Matter of fact, this is good. He'd get a grin on his face. So that's why I had to learn to try to get, left or right, but it still didn't matter. As soon as you hit Derek Coster, he'd knock your ass over too. But Chris Graves tells the story of how he's like, I had to fill that hole, and here come Mike, and he took me out at the thighs, and he goes, I flipped and landed on the ground, and I was groaning, and Coach Curl come up and grabbed me by my face, and I said, get your ass up, Graves, you get back in there. And he said, I couldn't hardly walk, I couldn't feel my legs. He said, ultimately, I had to go to the hospital, and I ended up having hematomas on my thigh. And I don't know if you remember back then, but our thigh pads were that thick. And he had hematomas hitting him that hard, so he was kind of a meanie. Let's see. Pam Luff, she's like, all I can enter into my mind is that when he was little, he used to love to do this dancing thing. He did. He liked to dance and all that. But anybody got any stories you want to share or anything? Or did I cover Or we're gonna talk about it later, type of deal. All right. Well, I don't know what else to do. I know everybody liked my Nebraska thing, and I got this off of eBay, and I got it was brand new, and I'm like, wow, this thing. I didn't even put it on; it was still in the wrapper, and I was like, I'll save that for special occasion next year when they're playing Iowa or whatever. And he really liked the Huskers. So I pulled it out for him. And he said I was going to officiate. And I was like, what? And I looked it up. They didn't say officiate, though. What did they say? It was officiant. They said you're officiant. And I looked it up, and it was like a holy guy that has to speak in front of people. So I was like, I got the perfect shirt. I just need the white piece of tape right here. What do we do now? I'm not doing my job as officiant. I guess we get up, people go that way, people go that way. Somebody help me out. I know y'all been to funerals. I guess we're going to mingle.
We are done talking about Mike, but I would love you guys to chat with each other. He loved all of you very much, and he'd be very happy that you were all here. Friend. Thank you.
Well, you need to see you got your iPhone. Turn it on. All back together. No, I didn't have a number. Got mine. Thanks, man. You know what? Next week. But you have access. Fighter. Hey, buddy, gotta get back there to see if the house is still there. All right. Promise. parched. And after COVID, just picante sauce, mild picante sauce. What are they dressing these guys?
Mine, I can't quench a thirst. Don't like soda. Drink so much water, you get waterlogged. So I put iced tea in. Iced tea quenches it.
Yesterday.
It was supposed to be today. Yeah, they
That's amazing, man. Fucking gallbladder.
Oh, that's a bitch.
That's what he did with me.
Knock you right out.
Went through my. Actually, I had an Audi for years. Oh. Fixed? Yeah. Yeah, he goes, here, I'll give you a twofer when I went in the scene. You know, he's like, from my, you know, when I was on coffee grounds. Weird shit, you know. It was just what I. Anyway, he said,
You look growing up, looks like a coffee. I've been doing that for about the last 6 months, or about 6 weeks. I had no idea. I'm like, what the fuck is coffee? It's like eating coffee grounds. It's exactly what you're looking like.
yeah, that's what I told you, no. So I called and they're like, yeah, just come in. They ran some gallbladder. And a twofer, man. He's like, not a twofer. The Audi, that's a hernia. Oh, shit. Yeah, I gotta go through there anyway, so.
Fix you both ways.
Yeah, it was, I knew the dude. It was, Bill Rizzi. Shit, man, I had no idea what I was going to do. Oh, the best. I have to be. That's, I said, it's there. Sure enough, they made me a fishing. And I'm like, I don't know. You know, this morning, she's like, what did they say? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, well, I gotta stop doing
I'm gonna make some rounds. I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, all right, man.
That's about all.